I didn't know I needed a domestic violence advocate to divorce my husband. I didn't know that verbal or psychological abuse could escalate to lethal violence. I didn't know the signs. When I told him, I really feel like we need to separate, his abusive behavior, which had been more or less sporadic, ramped up exponentially. I was sitting in the corner of the master bedroom when he came back in, and he stood at the foot of the bed and about 4 feet from me, and he had a towel over his hand, and it looked like a child who has like a play gun, like when you were kids. And for like a fraction of a second, I thought, oh, he's messing with my head again. He raised it and pointed it at my head, and I realized immediately. And he said, "I love you too much to live without you." As he was pulling the trigger and I was standing up. So he did not shoot me in the head. He clipped me in my chest right above my right breast. I had to run past him and out of the door. He continued shooting. I was screaming to the kids, "Get out of the house." My daughter, I heard her saying, "Mommy, Mommy, what's happening?" And I said, "Daddy shot me. Get out of the house." And she was closer than I thought. As I was running away, I heard the final shot. I knew I couldn't turn around, and so I kept running, and I wasn't really sure if he had shot her or himself. And I collapsed in my neighbor's yard, feeling like I'm really tired. I need to lay down. And then trying to fight that because I really wanted to see what was going on with the kids. But I was out like that. I probably had woken up, but I didn't realize I was awake, and I thought I was dead. And I just felt a hand squeeze my hand. And I was like, okay, I'm alive. I asked, how are my kids? They said, "Your kids are okay." And I said, "What happened to my husband?" And they said, he shot himself and he died. That final look in his eyes, that final gaze, and it was a millisecond, that was more painful. That was more painful than remembering bullet. Here's somebody I'd built a life with, I'd had children with, I trusted, with my life. So that betrayal was far more painful than the bullets. So the kids came in that evening, the first time they saw me. The first thing I said to them is, I don't know why Daddy did this, but we have to forgive him. I didn't realize that at the time that my daughter, had pretty much seen it. They pulled 2 bullets out, and then I still have one in my liver. The physical recovery was so intense that I really shut down any emotional recovery. I mean, I did cry. The first time they told me, maybe day 3, we need to get you up in a chair. I was like, I can't do that. And I had a great nurse, and she said, "You've got to do this. You don't have a choice." I kind of made that my mantra. I've got to do this. This isn't a choice. I got home from the hospital, and the detective came by, was kind of checking in with me. And he said, "You're really lucky." And I said, "I am. Here I am. I'm sitting here. I'm very lucky." And he said, "Oh, I meant that he didn't shoot the kids too, because that's usually what I see." My daughter had a really hard time. The friends that she had always had, there was such a difference now, who she was. I mean, my kids aged 40 years in a millisecond. So I've tried to make them feel secure. But I had really bad PTSD too. You know, people look at me, my scars are all hidden. You know, I look like I'm pretty together because I have a really strong personality and a strong will. But really, truly, even all this time later, it takes its toll. And my therapist kind of brought me back, sort of. He used a very literal Apollo 13. And he said, you know, they're up there, they're in crisis. Doesn't matter why it happened or who was responsible for it. What matters is finding a way out of this. And so I began to focus on that. How am I going to get out of this? What am I going to do to move forward? When it first happened, I thought I was the only one that it happened to. Then more and more people started coming into my radar. And what I started to realize was there's a lot of women getting shot by their partners. And of course, doing training to be a domestic violence advocate, you know, I actually found out how profound that is. And I started realizing, well, what would have been the difference if there hadn't been a gun? If you have this combination of someone who has a lot of hatred or has control issues and they have a gun, chances are at one point or another they're going to use it. I'm in a very unique situation to have survived gun violence. Too many people don't. And if I don't speak out, who's going to?
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.